Hey, just wanted to talk a little bit about what it takes to make an episode of Dungeon Follies. I think altogether it takes me about 5 to 8 hours to make one, but I hear I've condensed it down to just 20 minutes. So let's get started. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just creating my rough outline. I'm in a program called Storyboard Pro, which is a drawing program that you can use to draw storyboards, obviously, but you can draw anything with its tools. And I really like it because it lets you lay out things shot by shot, and it also draws in vector, which means that I can scale things up, I can scale things down, and it will maintain its resolution, which is amazing. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of roughing in my drawings here based off of the thumbnail drawings that I've done in my little notebook. And the idea behind this episode was I just love having little moments where Whiff and Rodbert are talking to each other and having a little friendly moment where they talk about Whiff's previous life or Whiff's, time before he was dead and trying to figure things out without, the internet or phones or anything like that. And so this was just kind of a sweet moment between the two of them where they have this nice little conversation. And I love that I get to have a little bit of we'll see later, but I'm going to do like a kind of a realistic skull image in this one. And so I'll just keep talking through what I'm thinking. Because these are meant to be for YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and things like that, I have given myself a big amount of space on the top and bottom for big black bars because there's a ton of buttons in those apps, and I like to put the text up there if I can. And so I'm not too concerned about where the text is going to go all the time. I kind of let the drawings dictate that, but I do try to keep it smart. Normally in the upper part of the screen is best, and hopefully not obscured by any of those buttons that I talked about. And I try to keep it really loose when I'm drawing this because as anyone who draws knows, whenever you kind of ink your drawings, it loses some life. And so I try to maintain as much life as I can in this kind of sketch phase. Okay, so I'm happy with my sketches. They look good, and I'm ready to do my inks. I know these aren't really inks, but you get it. And a lot of these episodes that I make have kind of one hero background that I can use, and then the other shots are either push-ins or pull-outs on that one image. And so I only have so much time to draw these every week, and so I try to. This is my one, so I'm just adding some details here with my round brush. I know the perspective's a little wonky here, but I just simply don't care. And I'm just doing a little brickwork here. Now that I'm happy with the overall shapes and layout here, I'm just adding some grayscale color to the background. I'm gonna add some lighting in After Effects, and I'm also probably gonna do the coloring in After Effects, so I keep things just gray, so I can finally draw with. I like to think of his body as two circles that you draw on top of each other, and try to give us a good line of action. We'll see that in the next shot. I do draw with in the in black ink, I guess. And then I add his colors later. I don't know why I do that. I think black is just easier to see on the white is really the answer. And my roughs are in blue. So it would be frustrating to draw blue on blue. See here, I'm redoing his colors here. And here I'm just adding a second pose for this shot for both of the characters, which is just a version of them with their mouth closed, and then I kind of just adjust their body a little bit to add some motion, so that when our characters are talking in After Effects, it'll pull some attention from the audience if they have some movement. Drawing Rodbert here, adjusting his skull. I like to add that little rim highlight on most of my drawings for the characters because it really helps them pop. And it can look really nice if we have a pure black background as well. I took this technique from someone on Instagram. I forget who exactly, but I saw someone's art like this and I was like, oh, that was great. I'm gonna add those white outlines to my characters too. Except Whiff, because he's a ghost and is white, so. I tried to have a good line of action on this particular drawing. I came out okay. Just reusing the background for this next shot. And like I said, because it's vector, I can do it, like it'll scale okay. And this is just kind of like a slight push in on the last camera setup. So the characters are basically the same size. And again, I'm just using that like hard round brush, just hard round, no variation. And I think that is a big part of what lends my series that kind of 90s cartoon, 80s cartoon look. Is there's no line variation, and I keep my line sizes pretty like consistent across shots. So this is like a medium close up. So I think I should be at like 12 points here, and then if they're far away, I'm at like 6 points, and if it's a close up, I'll do like 18 point brush. But sometimes I break it, or sometimes I forget. But yeah, I think the hard round brush is definitely the MVP of my series in some ways. This is my favorite line of the comic, or the episode, when he gets to talk about how weary he is, because he doesn't ever sleep, so he must think like, oh, I must be so ancient. I gotta be so old. That's the only reason why I'm so tired. Just going through the process of adding my colors here and adding my mouth flap, and a little bit of movement for each character here. And I've separated all the different layers you can see on the right hand side, all the different layers that are needed for each shot. Now I'll export those individually to bring into After Effects. Last shot here, again, we're pulling back out for comedy. We're switching back to that 2 shot, keeping it flat, because the joke shot is going to be done in Photoshop. Whiff's head got a little bit big in this shot, but you know what? I think that's kind of cute. It's one of the perks of working on a show by yourself is there's no one to yell at you for not keeping the characters on model. There we go. Made that head a little bit smaller. Got the colors back here. Add those eye highlights to give it life. And I like to redraw the eyes in the second pose, because I find that adding a little bit of wiggle to the eyes can really add life, add intent. Okay, I'm finally in Photoshop now, so I've finished my drawings, and I just need to create an asset for this gross up shot that I'm planning on doing. And so I found this great skull image, and I'm just cutting it out, and the tooth is going to fall out in the animation, so I'm cutting out the tooth here and just putting a little hole there, separating them, and I'm going to recolor it because it's supposed to be Rodbert. I didn't bother grabbing his exact colors because it doesn't really matter. And I'm just lining up this eyeball that I got a great little eyeball here, and I'm just creating another mask to make it fit in that socket a little bit more. Just some good old-fashioned photoshopping, really. Putting it back in place. Gonna add some lighting here too to make it look like it's sitting in there. A little shadow on the top probably. Okay, so now I finally have everything ready. I've exported all of my layers from Storyboard Pro and I've brought them all into After Effects, and they're all in their individual individual folders and things like that. And I'm working off of a template file that I created from all the previous episodes that I've made, and that's how I'm able to do this so quickly. Is I just kind of have to take the animation that I created for Whiff, like bopping up and down and characters swapping from A and B poses, and I can just bring those into a new composition and replace that with the new drawings that I made. And so a lot of this animation for the like mouth moving and things like that are all done previously by me on a different episode, but I just pulled it into a new file here. So I'm just doing the text for this shot, and I'm actually really excited because I think this may have been one of the first episodes, maybe the second episode, that I got to use my own custom font for my own handwriting, which is cool. It's nice to finally be able to do that. I think that's really neat. Here we're doing kind of like my favorite part of this whole process, which is I've got all my drawings and all of my assets ready to go, and now I'm just kind of like in After Effects, I'm adjusting the colors and adding bloom and glow, and I'm adding here a little light beam from this window because in my imagination they're on this like broken spire tower and they're walking up the stairs, and there's this moonbeam coming in from the night, and I'm just adding some lighting here because I think that when you add the lighting and the effects, it really makes it magical, and like I can't believe my drawings look this good. Not that I think my drawings are great, I just think that there's something kind of primal about seeing your work like move. It makes me giggle every time. I'm like, look, oh my god, they're alive. Anyway, so here I'm just making another lighting pass on this guy, on Rodbert, just adding some highlights, and what I did is I pre-comped his animation so that I could duplicate it, and the one on top, the shadow comp, has like a fill shadow, so that I can control it more minutely. Adding some text, always got to add room for text. I made that bottom line light blue because it's kind of important for the joke. Like, how old were you? So the age is a big part of this joke. So I want to try and make sure you guys can see that line. So that's why I made it light blue. Okay, more animating here. And so what I do is I've got his bobbing up and down animation in his layers, and then if I want to move him as a whole, all of his layers at once, I parent him to a null object layer inside of After Effects, and I can scale that and adjust from there. So again, just kind of reusing some animations that I've had and adjusting them to make it go faster, right? Just copying effects over, copying text over, and all that kind of stuff. Generally, this step probably takes I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours, and there's no like glamorous way to put this, but you just got to go through every single shot and animate it. But it's totally worth it, and exporting it all as individual layers really pays off, because then it gives me the ability to kind of like manipulate and squash and stretch and boil the line work of each individual layer. Okay, so at this point I'm just creating each shot straight ahead, and I'm not really paying attention to how specific each part is. Like, I'm not paying attention to when characters switch dialogue or anything like that, because I'm going to do that later. I've recorded a dialogue track. I've done some silly voices, and I'll punch up the timing to match my audio afterwards. So this part of the process is just about getting the layers animated with the correct text, making sure you don't have typos, and there's tons of times where I rely on my future animation self to kind of like, okay, I know that the gross up in this particular episode is going to be really important to the gag for the overall thing, so I'm not going to draw that, but I'm going to do that all in After Effects. So this is a tedious step, but it's like one of the most important. The other most important is like making sure your inks look good. Okay, so I'm just animating this now. Just cut out the jawbone, and separated it onto another layer so that we can have Rodbert's jaw going up and down. And I added a little bit of a background underneath him to give him that like jaw look, the inside of his mouth there. I changed the number to 650 because I thought that was funnier for my roughs. I think this really came out well here. And so we're just animating the timing, and then the other half of this shot is that the tooth has to fall out. So now I'm animating this tooth asset just dropping, and really paying attention to the timing of this bounce, because I think the timing of this particular animation is going to really sell the joke. It can be the difference between something being funny and not funny. So I'm trying to pay attention to it. So I'm playing it over and over. I'm playing it, I think I got it right. It made me laugh, or it made me chuckle. Now I'm adding this new gross up into the next shot, right? Because I think it'll be funny if in the last shot he's still the gross version of him. Hemming and hawing about where to put this. Just lining things up here a little bit. Okay, just finishing up this animation. That was my dog, and I'm adding him to the end screen there because I think that's funny. And with this, I'm done with the animation for now. Okay, so now I'm bringing everything into Premiere. I've done my voice acting, and what I'm doing now is I'm selecting my lines. Basically, I've done a couple different takes of every single line, and I'm picking which ones I like the most. I'm adding little audio effects and adjusting the volume of stuff. And what I'm doing here is I'm picking the line, I'm cutting it, and I'm putting it into the composition, and I'm seeing how long it actually took me to say the line, and then I'm going back to After Effects and adjusting the timing of the animation to match the audio better. What often has to happen is I often have to extend the shot in After Effects, or I have to make it a little bit longer, because in your head you're like, oh yeah, this will only take like 2 seconds to say, but the reality is it normally takes like 3 or 4. And after doing about 80 of these, I feel like I have a good rhythm of, I have a good feeling for how most things are gonna go, but I still find myself having to punch up this timing. And this step is pretty important too, because the timing of the dialogue and like of the joke can really make something funny or not funny. And I think that there are some comics online, or some animated comics online, that I think could do with a little bit of punching up. I think people aren't going to be reading your dialogue, they're going to be listening to it, because people listen with... Cut it like a show, don't cut it like a comic, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think I just have opinions because I've been making so many of these. Okay, so my dialogue's done. I have the timing down, and now what I'm doing is I'm adding the little like that goes on in the background of my text, I'm also punching up the transition between shots. And so, like, if we have a push in or a push out, I'm looking at how can we connect two shots with motion, because it's going to guide the viewer's eyes. And so I'm just adjusting some text boxes here, and the next thing I do, the next step is to add some sound effects. So I'm just adding little bloops and swoops for when people move, or a little blink for the tooth, blink blink. I've got a set of sound effects that I use. And after a couple more adjustments, then comes the kind of nebulous version of adding music. I don't know how to describe how I pick my music. I have a bank of music that I use for the show, and I've got some great artists who've even created some custom tracks for me, which is amazing. But you just know it when you feel it. Okay, so I've got the timing there. I've got the animation timed up to my audio tracks. Adding some final details here. I think we're good to go, and I'm about ready to hit the render button. So I hope you enjoyed kind of seeing what it takes from sketch to render. Come again soon.
Really? You don't remember nothing from before?
It's all a haze.
Come on, kid, let's start easy. How old were ya?
200 at least.
What?
It explains why I'm so weary.
Wimpy is more accurate. Look at me. I mean, don't I look good for pushing 650?
So good.